All set, Rob?
Yeah, it's live now.
Okay, we'll call the order at 6:08. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to
Allegiance to the flag
flag
of the
the United States of America,
America,
And
To the
to the
to the
republic
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 for
which
which
it
it
which
stands,
stands,
stands
one nation,
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty and
liberty
justice.
and justice.
justice for all.
Okay, roll call. I'll just call your name and tell me if you're here. Mike Kuza,
Here,
Vinnie Caldadella,
he's coming in right now.
um, yes, good. Bobby Carr, yes. Vic Tomporowski,
Vic here.
Shelley Castella,
Here.
Nicole Levine,
Here.
and Sue Condit.
Here.
Robert Carr's here. I was on mute.
Is Steve on yet? Steve? So Steve's
He
not
said
on yet.
I think he's working it still. I just sent him the link again.
Okay. And so the next thing is the minutes for the Board of Education minutes for January 9th. Do I have a motion on those, please?
I move to accept the minutes as written.
Is there a
Second.
second? Mike? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? The minutes carry.
And Deb, Steve
Audience-
is on now. Steve is on now.
So Steve is on at 6:09 for the minutes. Audience of citizens, if you'd like to ask for a question or comment, maybe we could raise your hand. I can't.
I can monitor that too.
Is there anyone that would like to ask a question?
Yes, Carrie Scalo, and then Tanya Curtis.
Gary?
Hi, sorry, I was trying to unmute there. I have a question or a comment, I guess, about something that's on the agenda for later in the meeting. I wanted to voice my concern, and I'm kind of speaking for a couple of regarding the dissolvement of the boys volleyball team and transferring of funds to the golf team. I understand that there was reported that there was limited interest for volleyball. However, I'd like to note that the Family ID opened on January 26th, and as of February 2nd, the boys volleyball team had already been pulled out of contention for the Southwest Conference. So these boys were really only given a week to show that they had interest, which I really think is unfair. On the Family ID website, it says registration is open until March 31st. I know I personally reached out and asked as of Monday, February 5th. I said I was trying to sign my child up for volleyball. ID was unavailable as an option, and that's when he let me know that the team had already been, that they weren't going to be fielding a team for this year. I'm curious as to why there was no notification to any of the parents at the time, why there was no, in any of the Friday highlights that go out, why there was no notification to anybody that this was a possibility. I know that one of the students had approached with interest, and I know another student had also approached and said they were on Family ID yet. That student was given no indication that there was a deadline or that this was an urgent situation. But even under best circumstances, a week for families to have this knowledge and to know to go to sign in seems very, very quick. As a general thing, since my son has been playing, volleyball has had a hard time getting a team together, but in the end, they always manage to pull a team together. And I know that there was some discussion last year with one of our players to the AD saying that we were graduating a lot of kids and that we may have time the team that interested in co-oping as well, but I don't know if any of that was looked into. So the first I heard was all of a sudden, like, there was no team. And I've had parents reaching out to me asking me, when are sign-ups? My son is interested. I know your son played. And I said, well, you can't sign up. It's been closed. And they said, but it says March 31st. And I said, yes, I understand that, but the team has already been pulled. So I feel like this team really wasn't given a shot to get off the ground. If, there's something like that in place, we could have reached out to the booster club. We could have asked them. We could have used social media. There was lots of avenues that we could have used to see if we could try to field a team. And in the meantime, I've had parents reach out to me. And I think there's a lot of untapped kids that don't even know. And I know that Stocks, I know you did put out announcements. I know you told me that. However, I don't know if that was an effective way to reach these kids because these parents are like, I feel like these kids were kind of shortchanged and they weren't really given the option to do this. Like I said, historically, it has been hard to get enough numbers to field a team. And I want it known that I'm not against golf. Obviously, I should be heard and those should be heard as well. But I don't know that it should be at the expense of the boys volleyball team. It seems maybe there's some way we can share those funds. I don't even know if it's possible to get back into the conference at this time. I have an email out to see if that's even a possibility. However, I just wanted to be the voice for these boys who really feel like we're given a voice.
Thank you. We'll come back to that when we get to the topic that's on the agenda. Okay.
Thank you.
Tanya?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. So I just wanted to bring up concerns that I have with the searching of privately owned technological devices. I was able to read through the policy, and it's just really concerning that the school would feel that they have the right to privately search my child's device when a law enforcement officer wouldn't even have the right to do that without a warrant. So I think that that's something that needs to be looked at further.
Thank you. We have that policy on the agenda later on, and we can have further discussion. Anybody else that wants to ask a question or talk to the board? Rob, do you see anybody?
I don't see anybody else with their hand up at this moment.
One last time, and then we're going to move on. Anybody else?
Wait, hold on, Karen, just for her
Karen
hand up.
Delfino?
Do I have to put my camera on? Okay.
No, you don't.
You know what you look like, Karen.
Okay, good. After a snow day, I don't look that great. So, so I just have some concerns, and I know, again, I have swimmers in the pool, and they've been swimming for quite some time. And I know I was at the Board of Selectmen meeting, and it was very disheartening to hear back that, just that George Temple didn't know about it, but I know that's not true. But as a parent, what can we do to really get the message out there that this pool pack needs to be replaced? And it's crucial, not only, to our swimmers, but also to the infrastructure of the school. I mean, if that pool pack is not, corrected or it's not replaced, I mean, it could create a lot of health issues just for the students. So, I mean, as parents, is there anything that we can do to support this project going forward?
I think that we'll have some more conversation, but I think throughout the whole budget process, if parents come to meetings, and there'll be also a town discussion. I believe that the town capital plan is supposed to be addressed on March 11th. That's the date I heard today. So we can certainly let parents know more about that when we get confirmation. Lisa.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Just going back, just a comment on volleyball. I don't have any kids in the school. My youngest, she graduated last year, but for quite a few years, my two boys played volleyball. And I know past years that Family ID would be open until March. and you get kids signing up all the way through up to the last hour. Also, because basketball season is going on right now, as soon as basketball's over, there used to be open gym, and that was one way they could recruit kids as well. So I was a little shocked and upset to hear that the program was going to fold because of lack of enrollment, but I don't think there was enough time for kids to know about this to be able to sign up. And I hear that there are kids that do want to play, and I just would like to just see the program try to continue. And I am in favor of golf. I think that's great that there's more kids that want to come out, and also another sport for Oxford High School. But if there's anything that I could do to help on the side of the Booster Club, please let me know.
Thank
That's it.
you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Did I miss anybody with hands up?
I don't see anyone else at the moment. We'll just give another moment. I don't see anybody else.
Okay. Go on to board correspondence or communication.
Nothing for me.
I did get an email from a staff member wanting to discuss an item, and I referred that staff member back to their administrator and their union, and there's a board policy on that issue. So I would just remind the board, if anybody needs a copy of that policy, I'll be happy to share it. But you should follow the chain of command, and people should talk to their administrators first. Budget 24-25. Steve, are you on?
I'm on the phone. I can't get in on a computer to see anything right now. But
Okay.
I'll make a few comments, and we could probably pull up the document. So Dr. Miller and Howard placed a revised budget book up there. We had taken some feedback about some changes. One is we had heard the security lead was of interest. That was added in. Also, the another BCBA was discussed, and there was some request for that. We added that back in, but at the same time, we looked at where we had some contingencies. Both, we had, for example, we had 2 SPED unknowns potentially coming in district as an example. So we were offsetting there. I don't have the sheet in front of me, I apologize, but the root of it was we went back and refined the numbers. We're able to fit in a few more things, reduce costs in other areas. And again, I'll remind everybody, this budget is still fluid. We're still taking feedback, and we're still looking through the numbers. But I apologize, I can't see it right now. Dr.
So
Miller.
I suggest that we pull up the PDF now. I'm going to share the screen, and then I think you and Howard could kind of walk through the adjustments that were made.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so you should be able to see the screen now.
Yes.
Okay. So Howard, do you want to kind of go through what was modified from the original presentation 2 weeks ago?
Sure.
Can we wait just 1 second? Shelley, do you have a question on what we're doing?
Just a real quick question for Steve. I thought I heard Steve say that there was a new budget book that was an updated budget book that was posted online. I don't see that. I see the document that's up there right now. But Steve, did I understand you correctly, or were you talking about something else?
It was there.
Sorry, new from last time. On Friday afternoon, Dr. Miller posted, or Howard did, a new budget book. It was corrupted early on. 6 p.m., a revised working document, which you're seeing on the screen, was posted. As far as I know, I don't know if it's been revised, Dr. Miller, since Friday night. Okay,
No,
so
the document that's been out since Friday is the current
So
document you see now.
it wasn't a revised budget book. It was just this sort of addendum, so to speak.
The budget was revised after the budget presentation to the Board of Education after the Finance Committee met. And what you see tonight is the revision based on the feedback that we heard from the Board of Education after the last meeting.
Which was attached
Okay.
to the agenda on Friday.
Okay, yeah,
Right.
I got that.
Okay.
I thought Steve said there was a new budget book posted.
Well, a revised file, Shelley. I apologize. The terminology
Okay,
was
no, I
from the
just wanted
last
to make
meeting.
sure.
Yeah, no, from the last meeting, we had a finance subcommittee we've made some changes, as you'll see in summary on this page, but this is new as of Friday evening with the requested changes and movements. But yes, it's new from the last meeting we had as a full board.
Okay, so it's not a replacement budget book, it's just
No.
more information. Okay, I appreciate that. I just thought I might have missed something. Thank you, move on.
No, you're good.
Okay, go ahead. Who's Steve? Dr. Miller?
You want me to talk?
So, yeah, I'll introduce Howard. Howard Wardlow is our business manager. I did not get a chance to introduce him at our last board meeting. Howard, unfortunately, was not able to be there. So I'm going to introduce Howard virtually to everybody. Howard joined us in August as our business manager. He's done a phenomenal job managing this current budget and then putting together the budget proposal that you see in front of you this evening. So I'm going to turn it over to Howard because we did make some adjustments from the last presentation to tonight. She's going to walk you through what we changed from that meeting to now.
Sure. Thank you. So basically what you're seeing is all the adjustments that were made to that original budget that was presented to you at the last meeting. The first line you'll see is a BCBA, ACES BCBA. That was actually missed from the original budget. And the reason for that was that it had originally been an employee it was in a salary line. It wasn't put into that salary line because because during this year, we had actually outsourced that to a third-party service. And we missed the contract in the service line. So that's why that first line is 146,000. It's not a duplicate line. So that was supposed to be in the budget. It wasn't. It is now being included as an adjustment to that original budget. The next ACES BCBA, again, I wasn't there, but my understanding is that one of the board members had suggested that we added another one to the budget, which is what this second line is doing. So basically the cost for each one of these is $146,000 per BCBA per year. While also and again, you'll see on the left side, I tried to put it by cost center name. This is a special education section that that we're in right now. There was legal services. We had gone through those, and in there's a settlement with a student, and that settlement is no longer needed because the student has moved out of district. So that actually will impact not only this budget, it impacts the current year's line item too, because we were only going to spend about half of what that was. So legal fees will be a little bit less in this current year too. But so that was a reduction to the budget. We also we had two contingency in the SPED out of district tuition. They were about $120,000. It's $120,000 a piece. We took one of those out, so there's still one in the budget, but we took one out. But then when you take it out, you have to net it against what you would receive in the excess cost grant that comes back from the state. So the difference is it gets you to 98,811 is where we would be with that. So that's why that number is also a reduction, but it's not the full 120 because you're also losing the revenue from the excess cost grant by not having that amount in there. Medical insurance, I went back to Brown and Brown. I asked them, I said, are we any better than we think they're going to be? Because initially they told me 7%. They are looking at moving us from United Healthcare, which came in at 21.7% increase, which is unacceptable for the book of business that they had moved to United Healthcare. So they're looking to move us to Anthem, which came in at just around 9.8%, I believe the number was. However, that's 9.8%, but that doesn't account for the fact that the teachers, who are our largest group of employees, are moving to a high deductible healthcare plan. And so we were able to, they think that although it won't be 9%, it's not going to be a full savings, it's not going to zero either. It's going to be somewhere in the middle. So I lowered it to about 5%, which saved us 2% on the initial. So that's that $81,980, a reduction in the medical expense line. The employer costs for all the new positions for FICA, we have to adjust for that because there's employer costs associated with that. And for the pension, the pension of the new, you asked for director of security, that had additional costs, $14,775, because that's 19.7% of that person's pension because it's the municipal employees pension plan. And then the FICA cost is the $6,665. I looked at the contingencies for the electricity, for heating, and both those numbers I took down, took the contingencies that I have in there down a little bit, 15,000 and 11,375, respectfully there, just again, there's still a little contingency in there, very, very little. But again, I took some of that down because we're looking to offset some of these additions that we were going through. The non-sped contingency, there was extra money sitting in that line. Again, that's completely gone now. If you take it, there's no contingency in the non-sped tuition. So the only risk there is if that more students actually opt out and we have to pay tuition to a magnet school or to Nanawag for the AGRA program. You asked, the board asked to put in the director of security. That's a $75,000 salary. That's what that line represents. We had 3 content coordinator leads, which is similar to the middle school, which has the team leaders. This is not the chair people of the departments. This is one level. It's one level down from that, but it's a content coordinator. We've added those at the high school to the budget. So last year, the board had approved an early retirement program. It had been fully expensed in that year. However, the auditors, when they came back, said we can't fully expense future expenses in the current year. So this had to be added into the budget. And so that $16,350 will be in 24-25. It'll also be in 25-26 when we get to that budget next year at this time. IT came back with a few adjustments that they found that they needed to make for license increases in software and software maintenance increases. Those are those 2 numbers, the 18,312, the 32,422. But what we saw also was that they had instructional equipment that could be moved to the ESSER 3 because we have excess ESSER 3 funding right now that has to be utilized by September of this year. So we took those funds and put them into the ESSER grant. So the net impact of all of these changes is the $41,038, which raised it from the 5.65 to the 5.77. That's the full budget now.
Thanks, Howard.
Thanks, Howard.
Great job pulling that all together and explaining it. Appreciate it. Just some feedback. I had some questions from Shelley. Nicole, you had provided some feedback as well. And still, we're still in the budget process, so I'd encourage anybody to continue to look at any materials, ask questions, make recommendations. We're looking probably in 2 weeks to finalize and do a final presentation and come towards a vote for the budget.
Thanks for making it so easy, Steve.
Well, I'm not making it easy. The team's making it easy, Nicole, to be honest with you. But we're continuing to look at the numbers, and we're going to have another finance subcommittee. We're trying to line up the date for next week so we can do a further dive, a few other topics and areas. We'll announce that probably tomorrow, what day it'll be and what time. We encourage anybody who wants to attend. And we'll be looking forward to the following board meeting when we do a final presentation and go for approval.
Vic put his hand up.
Yes, on the HSA, at the last meeting, there was a comment about the number of participants that we hadn't firmed up yet.
That's right. We haven't started the enrollment process yet. I think, Howard, when's the enrollment probably start over the summer for next school year? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it won't start until the July timeframe because it doesn't go into effect until September 1st.
Yeah. So right now, Vic, the placeholder is probably every teacher with our contractual amount aggregated to what we would have to put in, assuming all teachers enroll. Is that correct, Howard?
That is absolutely correct. It's if everyone took it that's currently going to have the option to take it, took it, and they actually went with it, and then that would be what we'd have to pay into it, the $400,000, which is the line item in there.
So Vic, if after we get through enrollment, the reality is if 90% of the people show up, we're looking at an actual probably 360 as an example.
Correct.
360 instead of 400,000.
Correct. As an example.
Okay, and the other question, the content coordinator, the 6,100, is that like a stipend or what is that?
It's a stipend. So what we're doing is we're modifying the department chair position so that there's a key department chair for science, math, social studies, and language arts for those core subject areas. And then for the unified arts, you've got music, and you've got art, and you've got wellness, and you've got wellness and physical education, and then you've got tech ed and world language. What we're saying is that one person from one of those areas is going to be a department chair. And then for the other contents that feed into that larger department, we'll have a team leader associated that's a content expert from that area that will get a stipend, similar to the stipend that we have with the team leaders at the middle school.
Okay, I just want to get it straight. We have 6 department heads that are going to be getting $6,000 something. That's set, right? I mean, this isn't in addition to those 6.
This is in addition to that.
So how many do we have?
So these,
because we went up
6
to 7 with the security one, and is this, and that's 3 more, so that's 10.
These are not department chairs. They're content leads within their content area. So don't think of them as a department chair. They're content experts that are providing some support to teachers in that content area.
Yeah, but they're worth a stipends of $6,000, so they're equal to me in money.
It's $6,000 combined for the 3.
$2,040.
It's all 3 of them.
Yes,
6,000 is for 3 of them.
that's
Yes.
correct.
Oh, okay, that's what. Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Got it.
Anybody else have any questions or comments or?
Shelley just put her hand up.
Shelley?
Yeah, you're talking about not just on the first page, but on all of this, the new document on the budget? Is that what you're entertaining questions now, or just the first page?
Anything you'd like to talk about, Shelley?
Okay, so on the original budget book, and thank you for all the work that went into preparing that. And also thank you to the Finance Committee for all the work you did in addition to what our central office folks have done. So in each of the cost centers in the original budget book, I noted that each of the centers, I know they're probably not exactly called centers, the way they're organized in the original big, thick budget book that was presented by the different admins. I was appreciative of the fact that they did a staffing analysis wherein they listed how many administrators, how many speech language pathologists, et cetera. And so in curriculum, although they didn't go into it in that way, they did, under certified staff, it identifies what is certified staff, et cetera, so that we know what the positions are. And this was the same for each of the schools, where they list each of the position titles and the number of them. And I'm just bringing this up again because I want to clarify it with a question I'm going to ask about the new document. So all of those are pretty clear to me. But when, again, I brought this up last time, but I just want to bring it up again because it's the foundation for the question I'm going to ask in the new document. So at central office, it listed 3 administrative positions plus the superintendent. And, initially, I think people thought that would have included Eric, but he's actually listed in the curriculum center in the budget book. And the SPED director, they thought it initially, special education director, they initially thought was included in that, but that in fact is in the pupil services, special education center. And so when I go back over then again to the cost center, I'm just going to call it that, where staff are listed for central office. It says, sorry, I'm flipping to the page. It lists 3 administrators, and then further down it lists the superintendent. So the question. Yeah,
so Shelley, The three administrators that are listed on that page are Director of Special Education, the Supervisor of Special Education, and the Director of Curriculum Instruction. This page here, it does not tie back to the budget. This is purely a head count associated with people that work at a central office. A lot of these people fall under different budgets, but this is just a head count from people that report to the central office organization.
So, okay, thank you. So when I look at people services, special education, where it says 2 administrators, curriculum, and it lists the budget dollar amount for that, same for curriculum, and then for each school, it does the same. And then if I look at central office, sorry, I'm still flipping from each section. Are you saying that the clarification is that the central office in all of the other ones? Because I don't understand that, because you have the dollar amount in each cost center based on, administrators that are in that cost center, et cetera. So I'm just trying to understand how exactly this works, because if you were bringing them all in, wouldn't that negate the ability to list the positions and the dollar amount for them in the other cost centers?
Because this page here, you're looking at the staff analysis, is not a budget document. All this is the number of people that are associated with that organization. So if you want to take a look, so what you're seeing here is it's not a budgetary number. This is just people. And you might see these people associated in multiple different pages because they're show up in different organizations.
Okay, well, to me, and I'm trying to follow what you're saying, and I'm not trying to I don't want to belabor our time, but when there is a dollar amount associated with it, right? So you have certified staff and the dollar amount associated with it, non-certified staff, operations, et cetera, for central office, for an example. And that has to be driven by the employees that are listed in that cost center, because separately, as I mentioned, the other cost centers have the other administrators and their dollar amount. So I'm just trying to follow that.
Could I just ask one question?
Go ahead.
Stop for
Yes,
one
go.
second. Can the audience please mute, because I can hear a lot of background noise and it's disruptive. If you guys don't mind.
I'm gonna mute everybody, and then the board is all set as a co-host. They can unmute themselves.
Okay, it's just the background noise is disruptive.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So each of the board members should have the ability to unmute.
So, Ms. Castle, maybe I can take a shot at this just so you understand the difference between the two, right? So one of them, the one you're looking at that's a staff listing, is a physical location. Where are they physically located? When we put them into the budget document, the one where you're talking about the cost centers, that's how we account for them. All right, so we have to account for special education costs under the special education cost center. And so by doing that, that's that center 1060, 1060, I believe it is, right? I think I got that one right. So, so that's why when you're looking at that document, it's a little different than where they're physically located, because they're physically located in central office. Okay, so that's why you really can't, it's not really comparing apples to apples when you're looking at those two documents. I mean, we can put it to you for that. We can put it that way for you if you'd like to have it that way. That's not a problem. It's just that that's not the intent of that. One was where they physically located, and the other was where we account for them from a salary and an accounting perspective. I don't know if that helps or not.
Anybody else have a question or input from the board?
Yeah, Howard, maybe in the next turn, I know we got a finance committee, maybe just so we have it, maybe we just have an exhibit just with the budget document that lists the head counts by cost center where the salaries go.
Not a problem.
Anybody else? So we'll bring this back. We'll meet with the subcommittee and we'll come back. In the meantime, after you've looked at the document a little bit more, if you have questions, please funnel them through Steve as the chair of the finance committee, and they'll talk about them at their next meeting.
I just
One
wanted to
last-
ask the second part of that question though, before we move on. Because when you're talking about the removal of the 5 new positions, I wonder if you could just tell me what those 5 are.
The 5 new positions we've added to the budget.
The ones where you say, yes, that were added, and then you delineate and you say the change in the budget with the 5 new positions being removed. If you could just tell me what those 5 are, please.
They're on page 10 of our packet. Unified arts teacher and a 0.5 librarian.
Okay, hold on. So it's unified, these are the ones that are being removed, unified arts teacher.
These are
We
the
moved
ones
it.
that
We're not removing. We're recommending the addition of positions.
Right.
Okay, but I thought in your budget document, let me go to the page on the new document. It talked about what it would look like. It's on page 4, I think. When it prints, the page numbers are not there. But the one that starts with non-discretionary budget items analysis. So it talks about total budget analysis without 5 new positions, but it doesn't say what they are. And I wondered if you could just please tell us what those 5 positions are.
So the request was to take a look at the budget if we were just to roll it forward from this year to next year. So the new positions in the budget are the unified arts teacher, the literacy coach, the 5th grade teacher, the librarian, what else am I missing?
Coordinator, student conduct.
Coordinator, student conduct.
Okay,
At the
hold on.
time when we put this together, we didn't have security in there, correct, Howard?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to see if I got it. I'm trying to write and you talk faster than I can write. So
So
unified arts,
Shelley, on page 10, 11, 12, up to page 15 are the new positions in the budget we were handed out at the first meeting. So those are the 5 new positions.
okay. I just wanted to have them listed so that I can refer to those other pages later because they're kind of buried. But I think I have 4 of them. Unified arts teacher, 5th grade teacher, librarian, just the admin position for discipline. And what was the 5th, please?
Did you get literacy coach?
coach.
What's that?
Literacy coach.
Thank you.
Are you good, Shelley?
Yep, that was it. Thank you.
Okay. Steve, did you have anything?
No, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna meet up next week and we'll continue to refine and add and remove things as necessary, but we'll keep the board apprised of when the latest roll-up is available for review.
And I do encourage board members to send questions to Steve to ask, the committee can ask and work on. If there's any positions, concerns. Let's keep the dialogue going forward.
Agreed.
All right, rest of the topics under the budget item is the job description of the literacy coach. We talked, I can do that if you guys want, I can do that through curriculum. We talked about them last night, unless you guys want to do them now.
Let's hit it here with the budget, if you don't mind, Deb. Let's just get it out of the way.
So we have, in your packet is the descriptions for the literacy coach. We went through some discussion with Eric regarding what we would like to see in that job description. We talked about the schedule that was there, and we had some discussion about wanting more time in the buildings and with the kids in the classroom. So Eric, do you have anything you want to add about the literacy coach?
Yeah, we'll be
I'm gonna share
updating
the screen.
Thank you.
Yeah, we made some changes based upon the feedback from the committee last night.
Yeah, and the original, or we'll start with this, the job description. So there were some recommendations in regards to the certification. So one of the recommendations, we were looking for the 097, which is a language arts consultant. Then 102 is remedial reading certification. While both will be kind of allowable for the position, we will work to try and focus on candidates within 097 certification and make sure those are preferred. The other piece of major feedback was with this second bullet. We had just, it was a little vague in regards to the coach developing coaching cycles, which is part of the major part of their job. So we switched it to not the coach developing the coaching cycles, but implementing the district identified coaching cycle. So just to make it clear that it's the district defining what those coaching cycles are and that person implementing those. Those are the two major changes that came out of discussions from last night.
And then we revised the sample schedule that went along with that.
Yeah. So the original schedule, which the feedback last night was, warranted in regards to us trying to put everything a coach would do in a given week, which this position may change, day to day in regards to where they are. But the majority of the time spent is going to be in the classroom with modeling, model lessons, co-teaching, coaching, and we have to define what those cycles are going to look like. So again, that's going to be the majority of their day. This person will report to myself as the director of curriculum instruction, as well as the building principals. So we would work in developing goals that would be done throughout the year for the modeling and the coaching, which would be done unit by unit. And then there would be other classroom support as well. So we would have a focus on the curriculum that we're doing, and then we would have that person also work with teachers to identify their individual needs as well. You have some teachers who may be more comfortable teaching, the phonics part of the curriculum. You have more teachers maybe more comfortable with doing the vocabulary piece, but this person would be flexible and be able to provide extra support, coaching in whatever area a teacher may need. And then the other part of the position is the district and building projects. So focusing on, building grade level professional development. The hope is that this staff member would also be able to run department meetings or grade level meetings to take off some of the work from the principal's plate. And those pieces would kind of be seen as the major pieces of what this person would do, but they're, the big piece, that singular focus would be the teacher support and being in the classroom.
Do any board members have any questions on the literacy coach?
I have a quick question. When you, not on the schedule right now, but because this is the first time I'm seeing it, I'm hoping you'll send that to us, Eric, but when you were doing the job description and the modification, I understood the bullet point, but up above on the qualifications,
yep.
We were discussing, I should say it was my point, taking out the word preferred, that it would be 97102 certification required with a preference to 097. Are we not going to do that?
097. Can you say that one more time? So I see what you're saying. 097 and 102 certification required, but 097 certification preferred.
Yes.
All right. We could put that word required in.
Okay. Thanks. Because otherwise it almost reads like that it's, it's a preferred thing, not a required thing, but thank you for that. Will you send this out to us? Because I didn't see that it was posted in that way. Maybe because it's new, the modifications to it.
Yeah, right, Shelley, we couldn't post it because the curriculum meeting was at 5:15 yesterday, and this was revised within 24 hours of the meeting tonight, so we couldn't post it again.
Okay,
So, but it can be sent out after tonight.
all right, thank you.
So I just want to make sure everyone understands, we approve jobs positions. We don't necessarily approve the job descriptions, but we are having discussion on them with Dr. Miller and Eric, and it was a good conversation to make some changes yesterday, so.
But I just wanted to reiterate that it's not possible to vote to approve a job unless we fully understand what the job is going to be. And that's why we need to, you know, be able to know exactly what the job description is.
Correct.
But I do appreciate the conversation and dialogue about it.
Department chairs, Eric, do you want to take that as well? We talked about that last night.
Yeah, we just went over sort of, you know, what the focus would be with the addition of a couple of those department heads having the, on those content areas and kind of focusing on that piece. So the role of the department heads we talked about, they would have a kind of a full slate of, in regards to their teaching role. And you see the job responsibilities posted there, but their focus, they would have a couple different, areas of focus. One is obviously that organizational piece. So budgeting the organization of materials in the school, identifying instructional needs and making sure they're in that constant contact with building administration as well as myself in regards to the needs of the department. The second, which is kind of why this position, why we're doing what we're doing with the department heads, is really that curriculum support and being that curriculum expert. So this year we have a new curriculum template. We are going to be writing a lot of curriculum over the next couple of years. So the department heads will be the curriculum expert in the department, whether it's new teachers, brand new teachers to the field, or new teachers who have come to the building. They're going to be able to support teacher growth. And that process is going to be done through feedback. The department heads will get trained. While they don't do evaluation and write evaluations to teachers, they'll still get that same training that administrators will get in regards to that TVAL process, so they can provide some of that coaching and feedback to teachers. They will also obviously lead department meetings, available to help support and lead half-day, full-day professional development, and really be those content experts. So when we're having larger conversations about the curriculum, those people in the room leading the curriculum are also ones that are teaching those courses and know that content. And that's kind of the main conversation we had in regards to the role of the department heads.
Anyone have any questions? No? Vic? No? I can't
No,
see.
no,
Okay,
we discussed it yesterday.
okay. No questions? Okay, and the next job description was the coordinator of student conduct. And Dr. Miller, do you want to take that one?
Sure. Basically, the purpose of this job is to assist the building administrators on disciplinary issues going on in building, assisting with attendance to help promote students to be in school, to help with bullying investigations, to assist on the creation of safety plans, if there are bullying investigations taking place, and to be proactive, to work with the students and identify where some of the challenging behaviors are, to make sure that students are taking the safe approach and the appropriate approach before things go south. A lot of this role is to alleviate the current responsibilities from the principal and assistant principal so that they can focus on more instructional leadership roles within their school. In addition to this, there's a new safe school climate plan that needs to be approved and be approved this July and in place the following September. That's going to create a whole another layer of responsibilities that the building administrators will need to do. And if this coordinator of student conduct is available, it will help alleviate some of that additional workload that the state is mandating down to the school level.
Any questions? Vic?
Yeah, just for the tax-paying citizens, can we get an organization chart? Because there's no one in the world that's going to be able to figure out, you're making so many changes in titles and pay and responsibilities that, that I don't think the voting public can really understand all these changes. And it's going to need something like Eric has these 5 directors reporting to him and whatever, because even somebody that's kind of involved in this can't figure out where all these people are. I understand your thing is that they sit in this building, but they're in that budget. I mean, that's normal. But it's hard for anybody that they can go through any of this and have a picture. I have never really seen a full organizational chart of the school. So I think it's time, in order to promote these positions, that they can lay out where these people are on the chart, who they report to, and why, and what the benefit is.
We did an organization chart a couple years ago, so we're going to revise it with the recommended positions we have in place now.
So you're going to revise it, or is that
We
what you're
certainly
saying?
can, we certainly can revise it and produce a new version of it.
Okay, because the
think
last
that
one
makes
was
sense,
kind of
Rob.
sketchy.
Well, we can work on it.
Yeah, I think you need to have that if you're going to sell this program and get all these changes and all these budget changes and salary increases. People got to understand where these people are, what they're doing. I mean, some of these titles I've never even heard of. I'm sure that many people out there go, huh? But anyway, just as a it's more than a suggestion, but anyway, take it for what
I think it's
worth.
fair. No, Vic, I think it's spot on. We should have an up-to-date organizational chart for any company, organization, whatever it may be. So we'll, through the finance subcommittee and personnel, we'll work with the team on that and make sure we have one.
Okay, thank you.
Sue?
I was just wondering what the salary was for this particular position.
For the coordinator, Howard, what did you budget for that?
119,753. It's the equivalent of the supervisor of special ed, I believe, is the one we equated it to.
Which is also equivalent to the middle school assistant principal.
Correct.
One more time, 119?
119,753, I believe, is the total.
Okay.
I remember exactly.
Is that good, Sue?
Yep, thanks.
Sure. Shelley?
One thing is the number that you just gave. Thank you for that number. But I see that it's listed in the line items as 59 something at the middle school and 59 something at the high school, which would give a total of 120 something, almost 121. Is that right? Or is it, I'm just trying to figure out how we're doing.
59,665, I'm sorry to interrupt, 59,665 twice is 119,330.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
And we from a budgetary standpoint, we put a 50-50 for the two schools just to capture exactly the schools it represents.
Okay, fair enough. And I just want to say, for the benefit of all the board members and also for the people from the community that are listening, a concern that I have is getting too top heavy for a district of our size. It's highly unusual to have so many administrative positions. From my perspective, assistant principals in my job as an educational consultant, forget as a board member, what I always encounter everywhere is that this is the job of the assistant superintendent. And while I fully recognize that, the claim being accurate, that we are certainly increased in the difficult behaviors that our students are presenting with, that we need to address. My point is, I would prefer to spend these dollars giving our assistant principals that we already have better tools, and spend the money there, and the rest of that money to be spent on our students, teacher support if they need it, I'm opposed to increasing the number of administrators that we have in our district. I don't think our numbers of students support it. And I think that if we keep that in mind, our budget will not be at 5.77%.
Thank you. Vic, do you have another question? Because your hand's up.
No, but I agree with Shelley is that it's always kind of funny is that, for the 6 years I've been on this board, no matter whatever was suggested, is that the standard line is that we're a small district and we don't have a lot of money and we can't afford to do anything. And today it's like, I mean, it's a bonsai to the wall, but and it's like many corporations, there's a staff of 1,003 workers down on the floor making something. So anyway, I agree with Shelley that that's something you got to have pictured in your mind because that's how the citizens are going to look at it.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I just like to chime in. Being on the finance subcommittee, I mean, Steve's doing a great job. Howard's doing a great job. I am impressed with how far, I don't know, the analogy of like spreading butter across bread, of how far we stretch our dollars. To be able to, I think at the beginning of this meeting, Howard walked us through how we're adding all these positions that the board, for example, requested. Director of Security, BCBA, all these different positions, all these different asks. And we were able to kind of find a way that it only impacted the budget by 41,000 because we could find a little savings here and a little savings there to meet the needs of the district, meets the needs of the students and the staff to be able to provide the resources we need. It's the difficulty of comparing us to a big district or a medium-sized district is there's certain fundamentals and needs that all districts have. And if we don't fund them, if we don't take care of them, we get situations where we're like, why is there no growth? Why aren't we making strides when we want to be making changes and strides and we're not? And some of it has to do with investing. We have to invest. You're either growing or you're shrinking. And we don't want to be shrinking. We don't want our test scores and our students, the quality of the services we provide for our students to shrink. And I believe when we were getting the presentation last meeting, Howard's information that was presented was that with just contractual obligations of salaries and insurance, the budget was going up 4.8%, from my understanding. What's contractually obligated is really high. It just is. And maybe you could say, well, what if we just cut positions? We don't want to. If the town forces us to, we can make hard decisions, and we're not afraid to make hard decisions, but the goal is we want to be stronger and better every year. So I just put in my 2 cents on that I think our goal is to present what's best for the district and wherever the directions, whether it's recommendations from staff, administration, the needs of the students and the board's recommendations go into this budget. It's not just one person's ideas or even a subcommittee deciding what's happening. It's a very inclusive process.
And I'd like to kind of second that, if you will, and remind the board and remind the public that this budget was put together with the feedback from teachers and staff across the district. We heard from teachers over the last year to restore the department chair position, to put that back and to get content leaders for those 4 content areas. The budget has that in there. We've heard loud and clear from elementary school teachers that challenging behaviors are becoming problematic and impacting education for the kids in the entire classroom. We're addressing that by adding the digital BCBA. And finally, we've heard from teachers at middle school and high school that student behaviors are on increased student attendance issues are impacting learning in those classrooms. And when I met with the OEA, when I met with the teacher rep council representative from each building with the union, that leadership, and I talked about these new positions, the feedback I got was yes, even the coordinator of student conduct was something, yes, it's an administrative position, but they saw the value in that. They see that this is going to help them address behaviors in the school, which is going to impact the education of those classrooms. all these positions are ones that the teachers are saying, yes, this will help us as teachers in the classroom. So we're saying we want to provide what the teachers are asking for. This is what the teachers are asking for.
And I just want to point out that the Dean of Students has been requested for a number of years, and we haven't funded it. We haven't, and it's a similar, we just changed the title name. It's a similar concept. When we were talking in our subcommittee, we felt like the Dean of Students was just not something that we all felt was the right terminology, because that's not the only thing that they would be responsible for. Bobby, go ahead.
I just want to mention, I see all of the job descriptions for most things, but I don't see it for the security director that was added last week. So I'm just wondering where we're at.
We'll have to
with
work
that.
on it.
We haven't developed it yet.
Yeah.
Any input you'd like to provide on that?
Yeah.
Can you send it
to everybody? You guys know my background, so if you have any questions whatsoever, if Mr. D'Agostino wants to talk to me, I'm available. I can make myself available whenever he needs to talk to me.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Can
Vic,
I
you have
add one
another?
thing?
Your hand's up again?
Yep.
I thought
Yep.
it was still up. Sorry. Go ahead.
Who go ahead? Me, Vic?
You,
Me?
yeah, you. Go ahead.
Okay. It's just when you're looking at the I saw your sheet on the 40,000. Okay, it's that's $40,000. Okay, the overall budget on your revised sheet, it was 1,900,000 at 5.6%. I think the new one that you submitted is 5.77%. So 40,000 on that sheet is impressive. Okay, $2 million is very impressive. So we're adding a lot of people and we're adding a lot of things. So I'm just bringing that up as not only a board member, but also as somebody that they can look at this and vote at it from the money from a citizen standpoint. So it's almost $2 million that you're asking for, not 40,000.
It's understood.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, so we'll come back to this at the next meeting. Next topic is boys and volleyball, golf and volleyball.
Okay. So I'm gonna invite Joe in a moment, but basically, the request came to me that there was not sufficient number of students to field a boys volleyball team this spring. There was a recruitment effort to try and get enough students to play, despite announcements on the loudspeaker, despite TV screens in the lobbies and the hallways and the cafeteria approaching students. Mr. Stock was unable to get enough students to field the team. He approached Mr. Herbert, principal of the high school, approached me about the problem. He was unable to get enough students. He did have enough students to field a co-ed golf team. So he raised the topic of replacing boys volleyball with a co-ed golf team. I asked him for the budgetary numbers to verify that we're not adding money to the budget. He was able to prove to me that the transition over to a co-ed golf team actually saves the district some money in doing so. So I put together a memo that I shared with you in this evening's packet about changing from volleyball to co-ed golf. We heard some of the concerns raised during auditing to citizens. So I know that Joe wanted to address some of the work that he's done up to this point, and then answer any questions you might have about this proposal you see in front of you tonight.
Go ahead, Joe. Hi, Joe.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
All right. So thank you guys for yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
So thank you guys for inviting me tonight. I heard some of the concerns about our and I just take you guys a little bit of a timeline and some of the things that I have done this was not an easy decision for me to make. In my 3 years here as the athletic director, we've added indoor team for 2 years with Seymour High School. We've added boys hockey for 2 seasons and a co-op with West Haven, Seymour, and Shelton. This past hockey, and we co-op of 13 teams co-op, and we the host team is Massac High School. And then we started a golf program last year with 2 athletes, and we were a collaborative team with Seymour. And we're going to continue to have golf as an option this year, depending on whether you guys approve a standalone team or if we need to continue to collaborate with Seymour. So this decision did not come easily. I've taken into a lot of things into account. One of which is we have no coaches in place at this time. We've had the position posted since July, and we have not received as well. The number of returning players is 2 from last season's squad. We only had 10 members of the team last year. Number of players who signed up was
Joe, you're cutting off a lot. Joe, I'm wondering if you shut off your video, if that would improve the audio.
Is that better?
Let's give it a shot.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think it sounds better. Yeah.
Okay. So how much of what I said did you hear? Should I start
10
over?
Nope, 10 on the team last year. Was where we left off.
Yes. So we had 10 on the team last year, and we have 2 returning. On October 17th, I was contacted by Mark Atush. He's the new Fairfield athletic director, and he had sent out a first draft of our schedule. We are in the Southwest Conference for boys volleyball. On November 3rd, he returned, he sent out a confirmed schedule of which we were included. On November 8th, I contacted him to inform him that we may be in danger of not being able to have a team this year because of only having 2 returning players and no coaches in place, even though we have posted position since July. At that time, he said, that try to work and me up to date on what we can do or what our decision is going to be. So over the course of that time, I did speak with Nico, one of our players returning from last year. I gave him information that we had, and that I asked him if he could try and talk to some guys to get them interested to come out for the team. I have him in my class, and we've had a few conversations, asking him if anyone has come up to him. On January 23rd, New Fairfield's AD reached out to me, requested an update, and asked me to see if we can have a decision soon. The CIAC sets the timeline as far as when dates are spring scheduled are posted on the CIAC website. and they are posted already. February 1st is when they posted. So in order for the SWC, if we were not going to be having a program, in order for them to fill their schedules, they would need to, be notified so that they have enough time to reach out to other schools to try and fill our spot if we weren't going to have them. So that happened on January 23rd. At that time, I spoke with Chelsea Searles, who is our athletic trainer, and we decided to open up Family ID early. So typically we open it up on February 1st for spring sports. We decided that we wanted to open it, and we did on January 25th. At this time, I did notify our admin that we are in danger of not having the sport due to lack of interest. We made an announcement each day in school. That announcement included a very specific statement, which said that we would need more students to sign up and would be in danger of not having a season this year. And that was said every day on morning announcements. It was also in Friday highlights since January 26th, along with the registration link. We put that same statement on our television screens in the cafeteria during lunch, every lunch wave. We had it on the 3rd floor hallway, which a ton of kids assemble in between classes. We also put it in the main lobby television. The decision that we ended up making was because we only had one student sign up. And I want you to understand that when we opened up Family ID, in the same time frame, we had 72 athletes sign up for athletics in the spring. I have a list. We had 15 members sign up for softball. We had 13 members sign up for baseball. We had 30 members sign up for track. We had 13 members sign up for golf. And we only had one member sign up for boys volleyball. So, that was taken into consideration. Also with the timeline that I was given to alert the SWC of the possibility of us not having a season. That also played a part into making it necessary to make a decision. I did go around and, in lunch waves, asking people if they were going to sign up for spring sports, including boys volleyball, and that we were in danger of losing our season if we didn't have players sign up. To this time, I still don't have any applicants for the coaching positions for boys volleyball. The following athletic directors contacted me prior to making this decision. Ronnie Plosky from Pomparog, Mike Santangeli from Barlow, Steve Baldwin from Brookfield, Scott Snell from Shelton, Amity's athletic director, Bridgeport Central's athletic director, Wolcott Tech, as well as Colby Cathedral. So those ADs were asking for an answer so that they could try and find outside games outside of the league to fill our schedule. It's important for them to do that because there's a percentage that qualifies a team to make the state playoffs. And if you lose games, that percentage, it hurts your chances of making the playoffs if you don't have a full schedule. I did look into the possibility of co-op. Every school that we play against in the SWC, the CIC sets a requirement in order for a team to co-op. If you you can only co-op with a team that has 10 or less players if you are freshman to senior year, or if you count sophomore to senior year, the number is set at 7. All the teams that we could have potentially co-op with exceed those numbers, so it is not possible for us to co-op with any of those schools. When I went to our latest AD meeting in the NVL does not offer boys volleyball as a sport. There are no teams in the NVL that have boys volleyball. When I asked if any teams would be interested in trying to form a co-op, the only person that said they would be open to discussion was Woodland. After speaking with Woodland's athletic director, he informed me that their superintendent had met with all administrators in the district and informed them that there were to be no new programs for the remainder of this year, as well as next year due to budgetary constraints. So, you know, when that decision was made, you know, that opportunity, you know, hit a standstill as well. You know, over the past 3 years, there was a trend in our athletics. There are
Yeah, we lost you.
Joe, are you there? Joe, are you there?
We can see you, we can't hear you. Okay, so while Joe's trying to get his audio back to work. So the request was for us to, are you back, Joe? The request was,
so.
the request was for us to make a change and use the money that we had allocated in the budget for boys volleyball to be used for co-ed golf. Sue, you have a question?
I don't really have a question. I just have some statements to be made. I think not having a boys volleyball team would be a big disservice. I have no objection to golf. I think as many opportunities as we can offer these children, the better. But volleyball for boys is a great sport. I never even really knew anything about it, but my son did go starting sophomore year after COVID, after never even really playing volleyball. I mean, the problem with volleyball as far as getting a team, it's been a struggle. I know it's definitely since COVID, there's no feeder program from the middle school. So a lot of boys don't even know or understand what it is. I know that first team they had after COVID, not a single one of them knew how to play. We didn't even have a senior, but we made it through. They had a great time. And I know it's a struggle to get a team, but from the timeline I'm understanding, if Family ID opened on the 25th and by the 5th we had already pulled the team, I've been involved in sports for a long time, and getting people to register within a week is very difficult, especially if they don't fully understand what they're signing up for. There could have been meetings. From my understanding, the actual parents of the few remaining students on the team were not really notified of how urgent this was. And we knew that there was going to be a shortage because we graduated, I don't know, about at least 6 seniors last year. So we knew that'd be a shortage of team people. So it should have been a full year push. So I do not approve. I don't think it's a good idea to get rid of volleyball. And that's my 2 cents.
Joe, are you back?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So, like I said, I don't want to get rid of volleyball. We can't play volleyball with 1 or 2 players. The number
I
of
believe
players.
there's now people ready to go. I believe I've heard there's a list of 9 boys ready to go.
Yeah, I've heard that too. However, not one person has come to me and told me any of the names of those boys. And
I think you could probably get the list tonight.
Let him
We
finish.
didn't.
Oh, sorry.
We didn't just open this up for 5 days. We opened it up on the 25th. We closed it on February 5th. That's 12 days. Is it a short period of time? It is. However, the CIAC dictates when the timeline to set the posting of spring schedules is, which is February 1st. The SWC had asked me to on January 23rd to give them an update and to make a decision soon thereafter, because in order, and I'm not sure how much of what you heard I said earlier, so I'm just going to repeat myself. So I apologize if you've already heard this, but in the CIAC, there's a percentage. In order to get into a state playoff game, you have to win 40% of your contests. If there are teams that can't schedule a full schedule, then they're in jeopardy of not being able to make the state tournament. If they needed 1 more game or 2 more games. That happened to us this year in girls volleyball. We were short 1 game and we missed the playoffs by 1 game. So, it's very important that these schools have an opportunity to schedule games. In boys volleyball, there are not many teams in the state that participate in boys volleyball. So the teams that are in leagues pick up their games in the leagues, and then they pick up games outside of their leagues. You can only have 20-game schedule. So when teams fill their schedules, there's no other teams left to schedule. So that is the importance of why we needed to make this decision as soon as we did, because the SWC, and I don't know if you heard me, but these are the athletic directors who had requested an answer. Pomperaug, Barlow, Brookfield, Shelton, Massac, Amity, Bridgeport Central, Wolcott Tech, and Colby Cathedral. New Fairfield, their athletic director and the commissioner of the SWC had contacted me on November 3rd. I let them know on November 8th that, we only had 2 returning players and we had no coaches in place at that time, and that we possibly would be in danger of not being able to have a team. We had started making conversations in December, trying to get kids to come out for the teams, trying to let them know that we were in danger of not having a team. In our announcements, the specific words that we used in the announcement was that we needed more. And I didn't say this for any other sport. It was only for boys volleyball, that we needed more players to sign up or we would be in danger of not having a season this year. And that was said over the announcements every day from January 25th on, until we pulled the plug. We did attempt. During that time, we had 72 athletes sign up for spring sports, and only one of them was for boys volleyball. We did put it out on we put it out on the Friday highlights on January 26th. I'm always trying to get us, any student who is interested in participating in athletics. I'm always trying to get them on board. We've had indoor track for 2 seasons with Seymour. We started boys hockey 2 years ago. No one ever thought we would be able to do that. We started girls hockey this year. We started golf last year, and now we have 13 players signed up for golf this season. It's not that I tried to shut down boys volleyball. We just didn't have interest. We have athletics are the numbers of our students are increasing in the following sports: boys and girls soccer, football, girls and boys swim, girls volleyball, cross country, girls basketball, softball, outdoor track, golf, and baseball. But they are declining in boys volleyball, in gymnastics, and in boys basketball. Boys volleyball, it's declined in the last 2 seasons. Gymnastics just this season, and boys basketball just this season. So I do keep an eye on a trend, and boys volleyball, unfortunately, is trending in the wrong direction. The other things that you have to take into account, I have not been approached by any athletes, any students in school. So I just would like to know who these athletes are and who these athletes have gone to what parents. I'm not really understanding why they would go to a parent to tell them they want to sign up, and not approach me in the school, because they can simply, see me in the school anytime and let me know that they are interested in playing. We did have a sign-up sheet in the school, and nobody signed that sign-up sheet. We had, there's just, did you hear me about the co-op situation?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so I exhausted all efforts on trying to co-op. Unfortunately, there is, by CIAC rule, there was no option for us to do that, and as well as there's no option to do it within anyone in our league. Woodland was the closest opportunity, and that was unfortunately shut down because of the directive that they received from their superintendent. I know that Woodland's coach reached out to me. Their girls coach reached out to me. He was our former boys coach. He sent me an email. I sent him an email back, and he has not responded to that email since I sent his response. I know there was talk about open gym. So I want to address that. Open gym we did last year. We had 2 days of open gym. And in those 2 days, we had not picked up any students in that open gym that had not already signed up previous to the open gym. Actually, there were more girls from the girls volleyball team at open gym than we had boys during open gym time. For these reasons, we had to make a call, and it was not an easy call. But we just didn't have the interest. This is how tryouts are done, or how signups are done in schools. You know, I didn't just come up with this idea myself. I called Paul Mengold, who is a longtime athletic director at Amity High School. You know, I followed the recommendations of him. I followed recommendations of fellow athletic directors who I constantly reach out to about, you know, what can I do to drum up support. So, you know, I do believe that I've taken the steps in order to, you know, try and get kids to come out for the program. It just, you know, it didn't come to fruition.
Now we have some questions from board members. Let me push over to them. Nicole?
Thanks, Deb. Joe, you might have said this already, but with the audio coming in and out, can you just reiterate again, what's the minimum number of kids you would need to field a team?
So the recommended number is 12, and the number, you know, we had 10 last year. The reason why you want to have 12 is you have 6 players on a team, and in order for you to scrimmage against each other, you know, in a practice session, you know, you would want to scrimmage against a full team of 6.
Right, that makes sense. So let me just ask you, if by some miracle we were able to find a coach and we were able to get between 10 and 12 kids, did we miss the window to be put on a schedule, or is there still a shot that we could make this happen for these kids?
So the issue is we had to give the SWC an answer so that they can get into their scheduling. You know, so we have informed them that we did not have the number and we do not have a coach in place. Is there a shot? I mean, I'm always willing to reach out again and see if we can do something. But here's the other thing that you have to take into consideration. If we have 2 returning players, what is the experience level of the players who are coming out for a team? There's a reason why you have a varsity team. There's a reason why you have a JV team, you know, and then there's a reason why you can have a club team. If you're starting a team with inexperienced players that, you know, haven't played the game before, you don't want to put them in a situation going against varsity. There are some heavy hitters in the sport, and, you know, you're looking at a safety issue if you're trying to put a kid out there who doesn't belong in a varsity game. We wouldn't do that for any other sport. We wouldn't put him in a football game. We wouldn't put him in a baseball game.
Okay.
You know, so
I understand where you're going with that. Let me just cut you off for a second. So if we can't do a varsity or JV team, is there the possibility of making this a club sport?
Yeah, I actually spoke with Dr. Miller about that today. You know, and I would actually be in support of a club sport if we had inexperienced players, especially. So the Waterbury schools are trying to do a club team this year. They're going to do a collaboration of players from the Waterbury schools. They haven't confirmed if they have that done yet, but you know, they're looking to do a club team. If we could do a club team, that would be fine. I can look at the NVL and ask if there are any other teams that would mind trying to form a club team so that we can participate in games.
Okay, so quick question. What would the cost be if we make this a club sport? Can we do it for less than $7,900?
Well, I mean, I can't tell you off the top of my head, but if it's a club sport, you know, I don't know if typically officials are not paid for in a club sport. So it would just be coaches that are there or kids that would be doing the officiating for the club. I don't know how many games we would be able to schedule. So that would be, you know, that would be another thing that we'd have to take into consideration. Are we looking at trying to hire a coach for that club sport? It would probably be my recommendation that you do hire one, and that a coach that has a Connecticut certification, as well as CPR and first aid, which is required for all coaches in the state. You know, So that's another, that's another issue. Now, we don't have any, there's no coaches. Now, I've been told that we have a coach in place. I don't understand that because I've not made any recommendations. I've not done any interviews and I've not received any applications. So I don't know who this supposed coach is. But by all means, if somebody is interested, they can certainly go to online to AppleTrack and put in an application. I would have hoped that if they did have interest, they would have done that. They could have done it as early as July.
So, Joe, let me ask you, does it make sense or would it be difficult for us if we table this to the next board meeting and you come back to us with the information on club team?
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly do that. When is the next board meeting though?
The 27th.
February 27th?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly gather information and speak with the NVL athletic directors. I could talk to some of the athletic directors from other leagues as well to see if they want to maybe send their JV team to us. Maybe we can do a jamboree on a Saturday. There are a lot of options that we can look into when it comes to club sport. The difficult part is, being involved in the CIAC, there are deadlines that have to be met, and those are the facts really that we have to abide by.
I also want to add that in addition to the volleyball coach being posted on our frontline system, starting this year, we've begun to post hard to fill positions on Indeed as another way to get non-educators to apply for positions. And while Joe was talking, I pulled up our Indeed profile, and this volleyball position has been posted since September 26th. And there have been 0 applicants there. We have had luck getting other coaching positions through Indeed, and there just has been no interest in either of the systems that we post the positions in.
Judy, did you have another question? I didn't know if
Yeah.
you were still up.
Yeah, I'm still up. First, as far as the experience of the players, Noah's sophomore year after COVID, literally there was not one returning volleyball player. And yeah, they had no idea what they were doing. They actually had the coach on the court with them, but they learned a lot and they actually won some games near the end, and to watch them grow was amazing. And yes, I know that getting coaches is hard, but I believe for the last 3 years, we've been waiting to get coaches to the very end. And we've also been signing up kids at the very end. I believe there was maybe 8 Noah's sophomore year that played. So I think if you were to open Family ID, what my recommendation would be, give it the week, open up Family ID, put it on there and let them have the chance. And if you don't get anything by Friday, then okay, we've tried. But if you get enough kids to sign up, I think you should try your best to get them back on the schedule and let them have their season. There's a senior who wants to play his senior year, and I think that's important.
Christine, I know you want to ask a question, but you can't during this time. I'm sorry. Joe, so if we bring this back in 2 weeks, you can give us some more information, at least on club, or because we're too far past the deadline to be able to have a JV team. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, well, the SWC is about varsity. The only thing that counts for state playoffs is the varsity schedule. So I needed to give them an answer for scheduling varsity games. If we wanted to have a JV game, we do have 2 seniors, and we would have to request to the schools that we play if they would be allowed to play in a JV game. Typically athletic directors and coaches don't mind, but we have to at least make sure that they know that we would be having seniors playing in a JV game.
Steve, you have a question?
Yeah, it's just, well, maybe more of a statement. So we kind of gone off pretty far, but our goal right now is we have to approve the boys funding. But I would say, I think we can find the money for volleyball, whatever. Let's just get to the bottom of, is there a club, a team or whatever, but we'll find, if the kids want to play, we'll find the money.
Yeah, I don't think the money is going to be an issue in order to have a club sport. You know, in my budget right now, you know, I have money that I can move from one line item, you know, to cover costs if need be. But I don't see money as being an issue in this at all.
Good. We just wanted to make sure it wasn't, so.
So do we need to make a motion to change the allocation, or can we table that till the next meeting?
Is the vote actually approving to be able to fund golf, or is that more of a MOU that our board chair would handle?
It's an MOU.
So is the vote to allow you?
That's what it would be.
I'll make it. So just move this forward. I enter a motion to allow Deb Sherman, our board chair, to enter into negotiations for the purpose of moving forward with golf, the golf program.
Is there a second?
Okay.
Who is that?
Second. It's Steve.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you. And Joe, come back to us in 2 weeks and let's have a further discussion or discuss with Dr. Miller and we'll come back to it.
Okay, I'll get to work.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Hey,
Joe.
Deb, before we move on, can I say something?
Yeah.
Thank you. You know, as you guys, the board members know, I have a senior, and I kind of agree with Sue here. If we could get something so these kids could play, you know, whether it's club or JV, I think that's real important. Let's let these kids have some fun and play a sport that they enjoy. Thank you.
Great. I think we all do agree with that.
We all do.
Okay. The next item is personnel salary, in which we need a motion to go into executive session.
Okay. Make a motion for the board to enter into an executive session for the purpose of discussing non-bargaining member salaries, assignments, and salaries for positions and other personnel issues, and invite Superintendent Dr. Miller and Business Manager Howard Wardlow into the executive session.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. We're in executive session at 7:50.
Okay, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna stop the live broadcast, put everybody in the waiting room into a breakout room, and then we'll relaunch the live session once we go back into the regular